What's going on, guys? Well, happy Halloween to all of you out there, and I hope you're having a great spooky season, culminating in what's going to be hopefully be a fantastic spooky night. So here I am, and it just seemed fitting as I did this prior with Friday the 13th, and it being Halloween and all, it seemed like the right time for me to give you my rankings of the Halloween franchise. Now, first of all, let's talk about Halloween. What's there to be said, right? Of the big three, for me, which is Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course Halloween. In all honesty, Halloween has always been at the bottom of that pack. I'm not. I enjoy Halloween. I like it a lot, of course, but it's never been my number one. I've never been like the huge Halloween fan like I am for Friday the 13th. In fact, well, I'll get into those things as I can come across it. But I said, Halloween is probably of the series of ones I watched the least. When I discovered the latest in my life, honestly, knew of it, but didn't really watch them until late in life. But I am a fan, and I do enjoy the history of the films. And one thing that's unique about the Halloween films, unlike Nightmare or Friday the 13th, is that there are so many different divergent paths for Halloween. They go in so many different directions. They reinvent themselves so many times. I mean, there's a great, there's probably different variations of the same meme you can find on social media that Halloween is basically a find your fate adventure. You've got it spokes off into several different timelines from the original film. You have the original film, or the original, I guess, six. That's a series and you could take from there basically the original film with H2O and Resurrection as one series. Rob Zombie's films are their own thing. Then you have the Halloween 2018 trilogy, which is a direct sequel to Halloween 1, the beginning of Halloween 2. Halloween 3 is its own thing. So there's so many different divergent paths you can take as far as the Halloween timeline goes. There's something for everyone, I guess, is what we're saying here. But how they all fare? I'm sure everyone has their favorite, and I think this series is probably one of the most diverse of all. At least it seems that way to me. I could be mistaken, but like I said, even Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street don't deviate in so many different directions, like I said, as much as Halloween does. And I could because people revere it more because it is a more or less a blueprint for all the films that came after. Although you could say, there were films before Halloween, Black Christmas, for instance, is really a prototype of Halloween that, and then Friday the 13th ripped it off and so on and so forth. But that's a whole other conversation. We're here today, me, to give you my rankings and opinions on these 14 Halloween films. And I'm going to try and give you, again, this is my list, my thoughts, my opinions, whatever they may be. Yours are going to vary, I assure you. And that's okay. It's good that we all have differing opinions, and nothing wrong with that. So without further ado, because this is probably going to be a long one, let's get started with my bottom of the barrel, my least favorite Halloween film. This would be, I guess, number 14 on the list. We're starting off with Rob Zombie's Halloween. Okay. And this is, again, divisive, and this is where we're starting off with a bang. Because this is a divisive film among a lot of Halloween fans. That you either love it or you hate it. I don't know how many middle ground there are. I am in the camp of hate it. I saw this in theater. I was excited to see it. I was a fan of House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. So, okay, Rob Zombie doing Halloween. This could be interesting. And then I watched it, and I remember this I don't know what it was. Well, for one, I think I cannot get over Rob Zombie's love of, pardon the expression, white trash and what they call it, hillbilly horror or whatever. I don't know. It just leaves a bad taste in the mouth, and it just didn't fit for Halloween, in my opinion. Also, I didn't care to hear about Michael's backstory. And that's what the series itself will, kind of weakens it and, waters it down eventually, where the first film was so good. He was just evil because there was no reason, which makes him scary because you don't know, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no sympathy for the devil, as it were. It's just, it's just pure evil, as Loomis would always say. But in this one, you try and, make you feel sympathy for Michael. He's a tortured kid. He's got his mom's a stripper. And by the way, Sheri Moon Zombie, she gets a lot of flack for being in Rob Zombie's films. He puts her in all the films, which, okay, sure. But at the same time, you got to say, as if you're directing your films, you want someone that you can trust. You get your wife, I guess. Now, whether you put her in a strong role and everything, I don't know. But still, and to her credit, I think she does a good job in this film. Honestly, I will give her props. I think it's just one of the few roles I've seen Sheri Moon Zombie, and I think she does a good job in this. But the problem all around is just it's too much. Too much Rob Zombie. This, I just can't get along with this. Now, to be fair, I've only seen this film twice, and I've seen it two different ways both times. Apparently, I saw the theatrical version in the theater, and then I watched this set when I got it from the Shout Factory set. And this, of course, is the director's cut. And off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what was different with scenes. I think, well, there were some scenes in the sanitarium or whatever, the hospital, that were edited or removed, taken out. And I know most of those from watching like Dead Meat and his cut comparisons, because I'd forgotten so many. It's been so many years between viewings, and I haven't picked this up really since I bought the set and watched it again. I watched it once, and and I probably will go back and revisit it again because it deserves a revisit. I'm not gonna lie. I should, every now and then I should go back and reevaluate it just to see if my opinions have changed. As of now, they have not. And actually, I think I probably got worse. But nonetheless, Rob Zombie's Halloween at the bottom of the barrel for me. I just don't like this film. Up next, number 13, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Again, it's along the same lines as Rob Zombie's Halloween. A lot of the same things, although I feel like I have a weird take with this one. I feel it's better in a tone that you can tell Rob has kind of been let loose to do his own thing, which is cool because he's not following the template or trying to, take the Halloween template and squeeze his stuff into it. Which was one of the things I think I've had a problem with the first one too. Is like you're ruining the story of Halloween, But in this one, I like the opening, in the hospital because it's a mirror to Halloween, original Halloween 2. I liked it. Of course, then you find out it's all a dream, and then we get the movie that I can't stand. Well, oh, that's fair enough. I can't stand, but I don't like anybody in this movie. I do not like all the characters. To me, are insufferable. I know there's an argument to be made about Laurie and was it Scout Taylor Compton? I think her name is Laurie. Her PTSD and how she's reacting realistically, and maybe that's true. Who am I to judge? I just know that in this film she's annoying, and I just can't stand her. I can't stand her. I can't stand anyone in this film. I hate Loomis. I think they made Malcolm McDowell's great. The Loomis character in these films is a slimy, and not what you're used to in a Loomis character. The one character I do like throughout both films is Brad Dourif as Sheriff Brackett. I think he does a nice, sincere job around all the hillbilly hellishness. But and Michael was extremely vicious in this. I remember seeing this. I went to the theater and saw it, and it's like, wow, he is really pissed off, and that's one pissed off Michael. Which is something I think we'll see further on the list when we'll get to it. But yeah, I felt it was slightly better because it was trying its own thing. Although that thing that Rob Zombie's own thing was still weird, which I guess I give props for. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with this film. I don't get the white horse nonsense. Again, just squeeze Sheri Moon in the movie, whatever. It's all weird. And again, to be fair, I've seen this movie twice. Again, the theatrical version in the theater, and then this director's cut when I got this set. And again, I couldn't tell you what's different. I'd probably go back to the Dead Meats cut comparison on this as well to remember. But I just know I feel it's slightly better than Rob Zombie's first Halloween, which I have friends that argue with me and don't understand why I think that. And again, these two movies are so divisive among Halloween fans. And, hey, you likes what you likes. It's okay. But there is at number 13 for me, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Okay. Number 12, we have Halloween Resurrection. And I just gave this one a rewatch because it had been a while since I'd seen it. And it's not good. I think a lot of the problem to me is that it lacks a direction or a focus. And also because of the premise of the film, with the online reality thing, I think it dates itself really badly. Well, unlike most of the other Halloweens are fairly timeless, this one really dates itself. And the fact that being a sequel after H2O, spoiler alert, killing off Jamie Lee Curtis's character of Laurie Strode at the beginning, and then what is Michael's motivation from that point? Obviously he's going home and people are invading his home, I guess. And let's be honest, if Busta Rhymes was in my house, I'd probably be pissed off too. But it's just there's nothing. I don't think there's enough driving force in this film, and the characters are all cookie cutter. Nothing really fun. You have the guy who's obsessed with cooking and the chef's kind of annoying. Everyone's just blah. Busta Rhymes is annoying. His kung fu bit ridiculous. It's just not good, and that's really all I need to say about that. Okay, so number 11, right? Yeah, number 11, Halloween Ends. Okay, now let's talk about divisive. I know this is a very, very divisive film, and again, I got to be completely honest. I've seen this once. I need to go back and rewatch it. This whole trilogy, I need to go back and rewatch. But I think I remember. I don't hate the movie. I don't even really dislike it. I kind of like. I do enjoy it, but it's clear that it feels so out of place compared to the first two parts of this trilogy. And I think it suffers because I don't think this trilogy was supposed to be a trilogy. It was initially supposed to be just two films. For whatever reason, they decided to pull it into a trilogy, and they didn't have enough story for a trilogy, or they didn't structure it right. Because this, at the end of, Halloween Kills, you're expecting an immediate follow up to that somehow, but you don't get that. You almost get like a tangent and a whole other story, and yeah, it's an interesting story. The whole idea of passing evil on, if you will, was it Corey? Yeah, there's a divisive character, but it's an interesting concept. But again, the whole movie is hyped around the final battle between Laurie and Michael, and that's not even really an issue. It's this whole other thing that they didn't advertise. And so I think because of that, you come in with a false sense of goods or expecting something you don't really get. Or take that away and watch the film on its own merits. If it's like a standalone film but didn't have a follow-up or wasn't following up the previous two films, which felt like they were supposed to lead into something else, or you're being told this is a trilogy, this is the end of the trilogy, and then this really does not follow up part two at all. It's just a standalone sequel, more or less. If you left it at that, then maybe this probably would perform better. People will have reacted to it better. I think you need to see this on its own and not tied to this trilogy at all. And so again, it's interesting, but it lacks in it. It's hurt because it's a tail end of a trilogy. So there you go. Number 10, we have Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. This is one it's grown on me. You reevaluated over the years. Again, of the original cycle or run of Halloween films, I think this one gets a lot of flack because it's kind of, I don't know, people actually, I don't know why it gets a lot of flack. I don't think it's really that bad of a film as far as Halloween goes. There's some things I don't like cosmetically. I hate the mask. It looks bad. honestly, the cops, the goofy cops are annoying. These like Last House on the Left rejects. I don't know what they're doing or why they're what the goofy sounds. But the rest of the story, I think, is pretty good. Honestly, I think it's a good follow up to Halloween 4. Danielle Harris is great for what she had to do, playing the part. Again, not having word, being able to really speak words, and doing the physical action. I think she does really well. Um, People hate Tina. I don't know why. I like Tina. I think she's cute. She's sweet. I don't know why people find her annoying. I don't. I never got that. I don't. I enjoy her a lot. I think she's a great, you know, pseudo big sister to Jamie. I like everything about her. I think this movie gets a lot of hate, a lot of flack for reasons I don't understand, honestly. And now I know there's, also, whole other opening scene that was uh, done or deleted. It's really I forget what the I don't know, Doctor Evil. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but supposedly finding Michael and nursing back to health. That whole thing was cut out. I don't know. There's that, but there's a lot of mystery. This is you know a crazed performance of Donald Pleasance as Doctor Loomis going off the deep end by this point. He's actually at this point he's actually scarier than Michael. But yeah, I think again it's not as bad as people will have led you to believe. If you think it's bad, go back and watch it. Have fun with it. It's good. Again, take away that mask. Some of the kills are good, and that those cops got to go. Okay, so at number 9, Halloween Water or H2O. Actually, Chris and I just rewatched this a couple months ago in the drive-in during their Super Monster Movie Fest. The theme was "School's Out" or something or other, but school that took place in school. So here you have this was I remember when this came out. This was hype. This was huge hype. Halloween 20 years later. Oh my gosh, Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Laurie's back. Let's forget all that stuff we did. Forget everything you knew about Halloween's 4, 5, and 6. That whole thing is poof gone. We're only concentrating Halloween's 1 and 2. Now we're serious. We're back. I have some problems with this movie. I liked it. I saw it in theater. Had a good time. I think it's a fun movie. It's a quick movie. Man, it blows by really fast. I'm watching. I can't believe how fast the pace this movie is. The fact that it doesn't really take place around Halloween, I think is overlooked. Um, I can get over the fact that maybe they're not in Haddonfield, that they're in California or whatever, and Michael can find his way out there and track down Laurie. So, which I get that. I mean, that's what you're used to. Michael's going after Laurie. That's his goal. That's his function, his purpose, if you will. But it seems weird that it's was it on Halloween? Because it didn't feel like it was Halloween. Maybe it was Halloween, but it didn't feel like it. I mean, that's the problem. If it was around Halloween, I don't remember. It seemed like it was a fall field trip, maybe, but it didn't quite feel like Halloween. Maybe it was. I don't remember. It's the school setting threw me off. Everybody slept in the campus, but it just didn't have the Halloween feel, the atmosphere, and to me that kind of hurts it. Also, it's coming off the heels of Scream, as most films were at that time. It was Kevin Williamson writing the script for this, and every film around this time was Scream Light, and that got weary after a while. And it's hard to see a franchise, an established franchise, following something else instead of trying to be its own thing. You see this a lot. I had that same problem with James Bond. Trying to follow the trends of the modern action films instead of setting the path it's following others instead. But it's still a fun movie. There's mask issues in this one, as there are throughout the film. This is cut to the chase. The masks are never really perfect or great, or they're some are good, some are bad. But no, Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job. It's good to see her back, embracing the role after all this year, and it's nice to have 20 years, although, or having a return of 20 years. Although I kind of wish they did not do the reboot thing. They just found a way to write themselves out of Halloween 6 and just carried on. I think they could have done that, yeah, instead of just saying, "Oh, heck with it, wash your hands of it." That's one of the problems I've always had with this franchise. It's why it's like, screw it, let's just start over, and it hurts. But anyways, H2O, it's still fun. It's quick. It's just it feels different from the rest of the series, in my opinion. But it's enjoyable. Okay, so that puts us at number 8, and that brings us to Halloween 2018. I really like this movie a lot. Again, it's the one I think it's the diversive, and again, it's a reboot. Again, we're bringing the once dead Laurie Strode back, and we're kind of telling the same story from H2O with a twist. In that, Laurie still got PTSD, but instead of a strong, accomplished headmistress at a private school, now she's basically the crazy drunk lady who's got a compound and survivalist. It's like the total opposite extreme each other. Which is an interesting take. I like it, but the problem I have here goes back to what I say with Halloween Resurrection, is that what's the motivation? Because with this, you're establishing that the whole Michael Laurie thing, the whole connection of brother sister, was not true. They were not related. So in essence, on Halloween night, 1978, Michael was just killing people at random. Laurie was a surviving victim. End of story. But here we are 40 years after the fact, and Laurie is waiting for Michael to come back. Well, why? Why does she think he's coming? What is his motivation to come back to get it? It's not, before it's like, he's killed her sister. It's okay, we get that. Here it's just, what's the reason? There's no familiar connection. Why would we need to come back? Is it because she's the one that got away and he's been pining about it for 40 years? I don't buy that. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it doesn't work for me. I think, I feel like, I know John Carpenter hated that, even though he wrote that connection, but he is, by his own admission, it's because, it was a pack of beer and a need to write a script for Halloween 2 and give it some kind of twist. But I think they should have stuck with that. And again, worked it in. And I think the motivation would have fit better as to why is he coming back, or why is Laurie afraid that Michael's going to come after her for 40 years? Because at this point, she's just some random person that got away. But it'd be better than the whole, evil they really push on you, especially in the next installment. But overall, I thought the tone was good. It was a nice, to me, it brought me back after the Rob Zombie films. It was good to see a traditional Halloween again. So I liked Halloween 2018. Okay, so that puts us at number 7. And that takes us to Halloween Kills. I liked that Halloween 2018 had a nice cliffhanger. Well, I mean, it did and it didn't. We knew it wasn't going to end that way. We knew it was coming. I like this picks up directly after that in reminiscent of Halloween, original Halloween 2, Halloween. They were all the same night. Like what I said with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, this Michael is vicious. I mean, the brutality in his killing is just crazy. And I like it. I like the characters in this. I like they revisit some of the original characters, mostly played by original actors, except for obviously you have Anthony Michael Hall in here as Tommy Doyle. It'd be nice if we got Paul Rudd, but I'm sure he's too busy making Ant-Man money. He didn't need this. But and that brings us to one of the biggest issues that people have with Halloween Kills is Evil Dies Tonight. Now the ongoing chant, which it's kind of cheesy and annoying. I get it, and I get what they're going for, but it's a point where it's overhyped, overplayed too much, and you're okay. We get it. Evil dies tonight, whatever. And the mentality of the mob and all that. I get what they're going with, but it's too much. But I like it feels visceral. I liked again the tone to me still. I think it was a worthy follow up to Halloween 2018. And really, I wish they kind of had stuck with the 2-movie plan and left that and got it more of a definitive end here. Or if they were going to, they were doing the trilogy, they would have made a full 3-part story, so that third part would have been a more proper follow-up to this instead of what we got in Halloween Ends, which again, I like Halloween Ends, but it doesn't fit these first 2 movies at all. And that's the downfall to me of this entire trilogy. It's incomplete. It's very, it's, I feel like this is missing a chapter. We really needed something, a better ending to this trilogy than what we got. But nonetheless, as a middle film, I think this is really good. I like, the continuation. I enjoy the characters. Big John, Little John. I love Big John, Little John. But yeah, it's still there. There it is. I enjoy Halloween Kills. Okay, so that brings us to number 6. And how about that? It's Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Okay, so now we're getting nitty gritty here. I want to say this was Halloween 6 was the first new Halloween film I saw in a theater. And I say new because I got to see, I think prior to this, Halloween like at a revival theater or a midnight showing somewhere. But as far as like a new release, Halloween 6 was it. I got to see it in the theater when it came out. And it's funny because there was no promotion that I recall. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we were in the theater. This was, I believe, was United Artists Theater in our Circle Center Mall, which had just opened up in downtown Indianapolis, and they had a United Artists Theater in there. And I think walking by, we saw a marquee. It was Halloween. It's actually the Halloween 666 on the marquee that was coming, or whatever. So, what? But and we went and saw the film, and I remember enjoying it. I mean, a little weirded out the first time I saw Paul Rudd, but I thought it was a fun movie. And it'd been, I think, I can't remember the time difference was between Halloween 5 and 6. I think it was quite a while because I was surprised that they had made a Halloween 6. Because I was wondering, when Halloween 5 had that cliffhanger, and then, like, so long ago, and then here it is with Halloween 6 finally showing up, and I was excited to see what happened. And I also knew this was Donald Pleasant's last film, as he would die, before it was released. But I don't know. I liked. Again, this really has a good Halloween fall atmosphere vibe to it, which I think is some of the best aspects of a lot of the especially the early Halloween films. I think it really, they feel seasonal, and this one really does a good job of it. I like the character of was it Kara Strode? The whole idea there was a Strode family. So we hear about the Myers, but never hear about the Strodes. Where did what happened, or where was Laurie coming from? So it was kind of interesting to see that. And you have the jerk father, who you were just cheering to kill. I wasn't the fan of the appearance of Michael because I felt he was a little husky, more so than I was used to. The whole thing with I remember being confused as to why there was no Daniel Harris in the Jamie role. Of course, I didn't know. It would be years before I'd know all the ins and outs behind the scenes of the whys and whats. But I remember also thinking it was kind of weird, the implied relations between Jamie and Michael and this baby. But overall, I remember enjoying it. I think, okay, where we go from here? Little I know, there was no more here to go from here. So, at number 5, that puts us at Halloween 6, the producer's cut. Okay, now the producer's cut, to me, for years was like this holy grail myth I'd heard about. Everybody talked about, there was this alternate version of Halloween, where this whole different, more scenes with all this different stuff, more Jamie stuff, more Cult of Thorn or whatever. And how do you find, and I'd always heard about it. To me, it was like a rumor. a dark mystery that you heard of but can never experience. So one day I was at a job I had. There was a new guy who came in. He was a pretty good guy, young guy. He's a video gamer, and we talked movies a lot. And he had told me that he actually had a copy on VHS, like a bootleg of the producer's cut. He loaned it to me. So that was the first time I saw the producer's cut, was on a bootleg VHS, which was horrible. The quality was awful. But I got up to see what was going on, and it was like it was so cool to see this on VHS, to have it. It's like I felt like I was doing something wrong, or I had access to something only few people had. I was allowed in the club. It was so cool. And that was it. I mean, I didn't get to keep it. I didn't have my own copy. I had to get back to them. But it was cool. Again, for years I grew up with a lot of films that have alternate cuts, different versions, all that. And it was cool to have this one that was just kind of a legend, if you will. And then when Scream Factory put out that great box set, a big selling point was their first time they were putting it on Blu-ray, the producer's cut. And of course, this is here on the 4K. And it can be debated whether it's better than the director's cut. I mean, it's a fascinating story of the whole process of the making of Halloween 6. What it was intended to be, what it was, what it became, how it got there. It's a great story, which more detail that I can get into here or even know. I suggest if you don't know it, go look it up. It's fascinating. But it was cool to be able to see that in a nice clean cut form and see what was kind of intended, if not complete. It's a lot like the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. Although I do think, the producer's cut of Halloween 6 is probably a little more complete than the Richard Donner cut. But again, it's still not the full version I think you wanted to see, but it's as close as you'll get to it. So it's nice to have that comparison. And I like it more, probably because there's more Jamie in it. Even though, her ending is kind of lame. I don't know if I like it more in the the theatrical cut. But I like that she's living a little bit longer. However, the problem with the producer's cut is that it asks more questions than answers than the ones it answers, which is a problem, obviously, especially with the ending and Donald Pleasance passing away. Well, it's got a major cliffhanger ending that could never be resolved, and never will get resolved. At least not yet. Who knows? Maybe someday they'll do a revamp Halloween series and they'll pick up where Halloween 6 left off. I don't know, but nonetheless, I like the producer's cut slightly over the theatrical cut of Halloween 6. Okay, so now the top 4. We have at number 4 a movie that I have really come around to over the last few years, and that is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, this is probably the one I would see a lot of as a kid on TV. God knows that, Silver Shamrock jingle bouncing in my head nonstop. It's a earworm. And of course, the masks, all that good stuff. And it's the one you seem to play more often. It's the Halloween I saw more than the actual Michael Myers Halloween as a kid. But I also knew it was the oddball Halloween. And even then, because this came out of what, 82, 83? And it would be, Halloween 4 wouldn't come out until 88. So another, 4 or 5 years, or 5 or 6 years before you see a Halloween. So I feel like after Halloween 3, that was it. It was done. It was gone. But I never gave it the respect it deserved because it, like most people, it's not a Michael Myers Halloween. It's the oddball Halloween. And for, this sat alongside Friday the 13th Part 5 and A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 as the oddball films in their franchises. And much like those other two films, Halloween 3 is, over the years, has been reevaluated and definitely starting to get the appreciation it deserves, by myself included. Because the more I watch this film, the more I really enjoy this film. I enjoy what it is. I enjoy that it was something, a different take on Halloween. I liked the idea they wanted to do an anthology series of Halloween, do something different, not just Michael Myers. And I think if they didn't make a Halloween 2 that featured Michael Myers, this probably could have worked. If this had been Halloween 2, then maybe the idea, okay, we're doing something different every Halloween. But the fact that you had 2 movies featuring Michael Myers, then you want to try and do something different, people aren't quite going to buy into that. But as a standalone film, I think it's great. And you've got oh my gosh, I can't. I'm drawing blank. Tom Atkins. Oh my god, it's late, folks. Doing a great job. Um, drinking beers, getting babes, kicking ass. It's a nice little mystery with some gore. And again, another one that really has a great Halloween vibe. I mean, as far as the season goes, you see those commercials, the cinematography, the lighting, so much of the setting just feels like Halloween. And that great ending, the ambiguous ending, I love it. Like I said, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it. And if you are down on Halloween 3, check it out again. Have an open mind. I think you really appreciate this because this is a fun movie. And also that, the score on here, the synthesizer score, whatever, is great. I love it. Fantastic movie. Give it its due. Halloween 3, wonderful film. All right, top 3. And we're going to go to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So, with this one, this was 20 years after the previous film. Or, hold on a second. Pause that for a second. Sorry about that. So, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. House full of kids, what can you do? This was a great comeback after, it was his first, 20 years after, the original Nightmare, if you will. And it's a great follow-up. I mean, especially I think after, again, Halloween 3 came out, and then people kind of just said, okay, but that's it, Michael Myers is done. And then it was a long gap between 82, 83, up until 88, again, 20 years from the original film. And it's just a great continuation. I mean, you go in the story, now you're dealing with this character of Jamie Lloyd, which Danielle Harris is great, such a young actress, to doing what she did and having the performance she has. All the characters are likable in this. The film, again, got that great Halloween vibe. Michael is good. It's good to see Donald Pleasance back again. I mean, everything is cooking. This is a fun Halloween film, and it's a great follow-up and sequel. I think it's the best of the modern sequels, honestly. But I really like this one a lot. I mean, I know I'm not alone in that. It's definitely deserves to be high on anyone's watch list. But yeah, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, number 3. So now we're down to the top 2. Okay, so number 2 on my list, the original 1978 Halloween. Like I said, my history with this film, I was late. I mean, I always heard of Halloween. I saw Terror in the Aisles. I saw the clips from Halloween. That's probably the most exposure I had of Halloween, honestly, was Terror in the Aisles. And I didn't get to see the film complete and proper. This is almost embarrassing. Until I bought the Blockbuster VHS tape. There was a time when, they was an exclusive Blockbuster exclusive VHS of Halloween. And that's the first time I got it and watched it. And then I bought it several times after that. It's funny. I remember that I believe I had like a double VHS Anchor Bay, and now I'm kicking myself because I don't believe I have that anymore. If I do, it's buried somewhere. but I don't think I have it anymore. And I don't know what I was thinking if I got rid of that. But it was like the big block or big plastic clamshell box with like 2 orange tapes in it. I'm pretty sure I had that. Of course, I still have the uh, Anchor Bay limited edition DVD. But yeah, that Blockbuster set was the first time I got to see there was a Halloween. Um, and I remember being fascinated by it. To this day, it still holds up so well. It's got a great uh, uh, atmosphere, the soundtrack, the score, the main title is so iconic and good. Um, the whole idea, the killer POV, just the I don't know, the whole idea of this these a mass killer stalking babysitters, if you will, on a Halloween night, just for random reasons. This kid kills his sister just because. That's terrifying to me. The idea of the unknown is always scarier than what you know. Because when you know something, you can kind of work your mind around to figure out, okay, how do I counteract it? When you don't know, your mind is lost. And I think that's one of the problems I have with going back to Rob Zombie's Halloween. You're giving me to explanation. You're softening the kid. It's not as scary as why is this kid the way he is? Why is Michael going after these people? Why? Just and also the fact that it proves you can happen anywhere. You know, Haddonfield was just your normal regular suburb. These kids are just having a normal high school kids, and it just happened just because. And that's terrifying. And that's the fear is all over this film, and this is a great, obviously this is the bar that they set the bar for films to come after it. Even though I'll tell you, it's been was it Victor Miller admitted wholeheartedly he ripped off this film when he wrote Friday the 13th. But even though most films were basically after that are carbon copies of Friday the 13th, they had to go back to this. And of course, this is a step above the rest. And this is a fun film. I remember the first time I got to see the theater again was a place called Hollywood Bar and Filmworks downtown. It was one of the first theaters I went to where you could have food served to you along with drinks, kind of like what the Alamo Draft House does now. But it's a little small theater here in Indianapolis, and this is a midnight showing, and I got to see it there. And it's the first time I saw it at the theater, and I think it's the only time I've seen it in a theater. Now I think about it, a fun time. This movie still works all these years later. It's still got a great vibe. It's good spooky fun, and it definitely deserves to be, seasonal viewing without a doubt. Okay. Number one, and at this point it should be no surprise to me, is Halloween 2. And this is hard because I really feel like Halloween 1 and 2 are one film. That's how I always look at them. I don't like to watch one without the other. I really feel like they were nice continuations, similar to how Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills are, one continuous night. I feel that's how I feel about this, and I enjoy watching them. But there's something about Halloween 2 that I just like a little bit more than Halloween 1, and I can't put my finger quite on it. It's not like the kills are a little more graphic. There's a little more blood and guts here. Definitely more nudity. Pamela Susan shoot. But I don't think that's it. And it's funny because there's parts of this movie that just every time I watch it will just irritate me to no end. And that's being this hospital setting. I get so frustrated watching them in the hospital at night, on Halloween night, and there was only like 4 people working in the hospital. That's complete BS. I've worked in the hospital at night, and there's no corridors there that dark and manned. Not with patients, anyways. No. So that always irks me. It always kind of takes me out of it, but at the same time, I kind of let it slide because I do enjoy the film. Now, there's also the fact of, Jamie Lee Curtis and her bad wig doesn't help. But I put that aside because there's something about this one I just really like, and I don't know what it is. I really wish I did. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it and say that's the reason why I like this one more than the original, but I just do. I love the theme more than the original theme. I love the synthesizer version and that do 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 how it kicks off, but with better sounding and with the synthesizer vibe. That is really cool. And then when you get into the full theme, I love that so much more than the original. And I have both of these things playing in my car to kick on. I will crank this up so loud. I enjoy this one a lot. I just again that part of the score is just, or that version is just so much more appealing to me. I like the opening titles, but with the opening of the pumpkin and seeing like the skeleton face, and that's so cool. I like the Michael walking through the streets with the other trick or treaters, unbeknownst to everyone. Just so much more. I can't put my finger on it. The line in the beginning of it. We've been trick or treated to death. You don't know what death is. I love that. I remember I had a copy from a comic convention I bought on VHS from the Japanese Laserdisc with the television version spliced in, so it was like the extended cut. It was cool to see that different versions. Again, it's one of those films that have Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 having these alternate versions, television versions, which is kind of cool how they mesh together. But I love it. I can't. I just really like Halloween 2. So much about this I think is really good, even though there's things about it like don't make sense to me. But this one really sticks out to me as one I really enjoy a lot. So there it is, my number one, Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. Okay, so that was a long one. I appreciate you sticking with me through this. And I know I did a lot of rambling here because I don't have the vast knowledge of Halloween, say I could do what I did my Star Trek or my Friday the 13th. I can only give you my opinions of what I feel and what I know, which I guess the point of this anyways. And again, for the Blumhouse Halloweens, I've only seen those once. I will have to go back and revisit them. So, I can go back to this list a year if I watch these or something, and it may change. The Rob Zombie ones probably won't, but the rest of the rankings may change. So you never know. But I appreciate you sticking with me through this. And hey, let me know what you think. Well, for all that, hey, if you enjoyed this, click thumbs up, share, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts, your rankings on the Halloween films. What you think is number one, what you think is your worst, how you differ from me, how you're similar to me, how you think I'm crazy for what I like, what I value it, what. And hey, if you want to hate on me for not liking Rob Zombie's Halloween, that's okay too. Or just say hi. I'll always say hi. So until next time, this is Chuck saying, I hope you have the happiest of Halloweens and that I will see you on the other side. And don't forget, everyone's entitled to one good scare. Happy Halloween.